What if you found out that your high school was built right on top of a cemetery? Wouldn't that explain some of the odd things you've witnessed and told yourself were just a part of your imagination? The late night study sessions in the library, echoing footsteps in empty hallways, and the sudden cold drafts that send shivers down your spine. These are just some of the unsettling experiences that have left students wondering if there's more to King High School than meets the eye. Could it be that the restless spirits of the past are still lingering, silently watching from the shadows? So let's unravel this spine-chilling tale together. And while I do that, I'll be working on a rose pattern Mehndi design that wraps around like a half-wristlet. So grab your snacks or henna, get comfy, and let's dive into this eerie adventure together. So let's set the stage here. In the late 1950s, Tampa was booming and they needed more schools. Now enter King High School. But what no one knew was that under the ground where students would soon roam lay Ridgewood Cemetery, an African-American burial ground established in 1942. The cemetery had been forgotten over time and literally buried in the sands of history. The souls resting here were mostly African Americans, those of whom at the time just couldn't afford formal burials. And the ages there, they ranged from infants to children to adults and even the elderly. They were all facing the harsh realities of the time. Ridgewood Cemetery was one of several segregated cemeteries in the area, reflecting the racial and economic disparities of the era. The cemetery covered about 2.7 acres, and to help you visualize that, that's about 2 football fields laying side by side. And this cemetery was sadly very poorly documented, which led to its eventual oversight when the school was built. And over the years, development projects often displaced and obscured these historical sites. And Ridgewood was no exception. It serves as a stark reminder of the marginalized communities whose histories were frequently erased. Now let's fast forward to 2019 and meet Mr. Ray Reed, a modern-day detective of sorts. He's a dedicated cemetery researcher, and to be honest, I had no idea that those types of researchers even existed. But I guess it makes sense that they would. These are the people who spend countless hours poring over historical records, death certificates, and old maps searching for clues about lost and forgotten burial grounds. And that's exactly what Mr. Reed was doing when one day he stumbles upon records hinting at the existence of Ridgewood Cemetery. Intrigued, he alerts the school officials. Obviously, they were shocked and determined to get to the bottom of this. Recognizing the significance of the discovery, the school district quickly took action. They brought in technicians armed with ground-penetrating radar to scour the campus, and boom, they discover approximately 145 graves buried just a few feet beneath the surface. This revelation was both shocking and somber, shedding light on a piece of forgotten history. Isn't that crazy that they found 145 bodies? I mean, the children were doing everyday tasks, doing their learning, their extracurricular activities, chatting in the hallways, eating lunch. They were doing all of this on top of all of these buried bodies. Okay, so after this discovery, what was the next steps? What did they do? Did they move the bodies and dig them up? What happened? Well, no. The bodies were not moved, and instead the Hillsborough County School District decided to honor the memory of those buried there by erecting a memorial on the school campus, which includes a statue and markers to recognize more than 250 individuals. Now, I know we discussed 145 were found when they used the ground-penetrating radar scans, but after researching and looking through old records, they estimated that there could be between 250 to 268 people who were buried there. Alright, now let's explore some of the most spine-chilling encounters reported at King High School. Students and staff have claimed to see ghostly figures wandering the halls. There have been reports of unexplained noises like footsteps and whispers echoing through the empty classrooms. Some even say they felt an eerie presence, like they're being watched. So first up, we have the graveyard's grip. So, like I said, students have been seeing ghostly figures that wander the halls, but this is especially more in the old wing that's built right over the unmarked graves area. One student shared their experience. She said, "I was walking alone in the dark hallway after staying late to finish a project. Suddenly, I felt a cold breeze that gave me chills. The light started flickering and I could hear soft whispers surrounding me. It felt like someone was right behind me, but when I turned around, no one was there." It makes you wonder, right? Like if something otherworldly is happening at King High School. Next, there's the whispering wall. In the basement, there's a brick wall with words seemingly etched by unseen hands. It says, "We wait, we remember." It's creepy, right? Some students say these words change each year, adding names of those who met untimely deaths. Press your ear against the wall and you might hear muffled cries for help, forever trapped beneath the school's foundation. It's like the spirits are trying to communicate with us. Then we have the bell tolls. The old school bell, it's rarely rung anymore, but it chimes ominously on its own sometimes. And students claim it tolls only for those destined to follow the whispers of the restless dead. So if you hear the bells toll 3 times at midnight, beware, it's said to foretell a student's demise. Some even report seeing ghostly figures gathering around the bell tower, their silhouettes dancing in the moonlight. And lastly, we have the price of curiosity. Seniors warn never to trespass on the overgrown patch of land that's next to the school. It's rumored that this is where the heart of the graveyard is, and disturbing the spirits there releases their anger, which brings misfortune and even death. Those who ignore the warnings and go anyway, they claim to encounter shadowy figures lurking in the trees, and their eyes, they glow like embers. The ghosts of the disturbed dead can follow these trespassers, and they'll haunt them in their dreams and in their waking hours with chilling visions and relentless whispers. So what do you think? Are these scary? I guess for me personally, it's just the idea that a school is built on top of a graveyard, and I think that in itself is just enough for me to feel a little weird about it. But I guess the encounters that the students and staff have shared, it's also interesting that they all kind of relate in a way. They're always talking about seeing these apparitions or figures or hearing whispers. But I guess those are also common in a lot of other ghost stories or scary stories that people share. So I'm not sure. I guess it's up to each individual to determine if they believe it or if they think it's all just a coincidence. I don't know. Is King High School haunted by the spirits of Ridgewood Cemetery, or is it just a normal high school? With that, I close. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Bye!